Keith.
He's actually dressed up for Rod.
It's in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
We gotta wait.
We double.
Oh, his bathroom is eating. That's what it
Real CP top, thank you. Good job.
Good afternoon. With great pleasure, I want to say really a heartfelt farewell and thank you to Rod for his service on the beat. Coach has been here long. I've only been here for 2 seasons. But Rod has been tremendous in supporting us, and really, I mean, I trust my kids more than anything, and my kids really enjoy Rod's writing. So kudos to Rod, and all the best to you and your family as you continue in your career. But it's these 2 years working with you have been great. Support that you show the Pistons in really your honest opinions and evaluations. And I'll hold this, but I can't. I haven't disagreed with nothing you guys have said. I mean, this guy's he's been great. So, congratulations, moving forward, and all the best. You missed it, but Coach dressed up in your honor.
Yes, sir, I did. I wore my.
Something light up.
Yeah.
And I just put a jacket on to make sure we shows you some honor. So, all the best.
I echo the same thing, right? Great working with you, and I'm not going to be like Troy. I didn't always agree with you, but you've always been close to the truth, and that's all you can ask. You were fair. But good luck to you. I know it's a move up, and I'm sure we'll be still seeing you around.
Yeah. As we put a bow on the 21-22 season, for us, I like the resilience the group showed. We started off, we struggled early on, trying to find our way. Then injuries set in, and COVID, and it was rough waters for a while. But as we got healthy and the group started to come together, then after All-Star break, we started to play some really good basketball. That's a testament to the work that's been put in from everyone in the building, led by our coach here. You always want to see how your team navigates rough waters, and they show resilience. And that's the coaching staff, led by Coach Casey, being steady, giving them the same message every day. And we came out on the other side after All-Star break, and we really teed it up. There's a point we playing a little better than 500 basketball. 2 things really changed for us. Our defense really ratcheted up. After the All-Star break, we had a top 10 defense. That really helped us getting healthy was the other thing. Our first 40 games, we had our team together for 6. a healthy team. So getting our guys healthy was important. Then guys start to share the ball, understand how to play with each other. I think early on everybody was trying to find their way. Early on, I mean, we had new starters, we had guys in and out, so we bounced back. But to finish the season the way we did was very encouraging going into the summer. All it did was let us know how much work we need to put in. I think the group really understands what it takes to win now and how hard it is. Coach was drumming that message all year. Now they understand, and now they understand how hard they need to work this summer, individually and collectively, to continue to move us forward. And we're looking forward to a big off-season of work.
Great, just one more question.
Troy, even though the record wasn't appreciably different, I get the sense you feel there was appreciable improvement and progress this season compared to last season. Where do you see that progress the most?
Yeah, I think I said early on that we, as we were going through this early on, we weren't measuring, putting a cap on the team or measuring by wins or losses. We're measuring how we progress forward. Before you can win, you got to learn how to win. And I thought after the All-Star break, these guys started learning how to win. And what it took, staying connected, staying together, defending, sharing the ball. So yeah, I mean, after the All-Star break, I thought we competed with everyone. You know, there was never a night we didn't feel like we had a chance to win. And when you start to see that, you know, you're going in the right direction.
Two of your young guys were in here yesterday, and things they said really resonated. Sadiq said, I want to bring a trophy back to this city, to this organization. And Kate said, I didn't realize how hard it is to make the playoffs, just based on kind of that mentality and that eyes wide open initiative from two of your young stars. How important is it to have that kind of buy-in and understand that they did learn from as tough as the season was?
Well, I you know, talking to the guys yesterday, and Sadiq and Cade specifically, were excited about going into the summer. They felt, I think, especially Cade, Sadiq had been through it. He talked about how hard the NBA was, how, you know, how difficult it took. He talked about how he learned from each game, what worked, what didn't work. And that's what happens when you put a young player in that position, you know, as a starter, as a rookie. There's so much to learn, and I knew that going into this year, and Troy knew that going into this year. You know, did we expect to go 3-0 and whatever it was? No, but every game I thought guys learned something new. Especially Cade, he saw double teams, he saw what we call shocks, he saw switches, he saw every defense imaginable, and then, you know, him guarding those situations. So there's so much to learn, and he acknowledged that yesterday in his exit meeting, and talked about how he wanted to get stronger, talked about all the things he wanted to work on going into next year, and as did Sadiq. So there's your core guy, two core guys, and also Jeremy did the same thing. Your core guys talking about what they have to do to get better next year, what they experienced this year, what they learned from this year, and that's a good sign.
Troy, this time last year when we were talking to you about players and they wanted to improve and things where they needed to work, you just mentioned yourself after your first year that you wanted to be more demanding and things said more sharper and just you wanted to come back better. How do you feel year two went in comparison to year one and what you wanted to achieve?
I'm a part of the team. I feel like I struggled early, like the team did. So I'm right in there with the coaches. So, and I think I got better as a season. I think that Coach and I talked about this. You know, I didn't give Coach enough tools, and the bagging trade was a big tool for us. We didn't have enough athleticism up front. We needed to address that, and we did. And so, you know, I feel better for the team that we were able to acquire that young man and give us a tool we didn't have. So no, I think as the year went on, I continued to grow and find my footing. But like the team, it's a big summer for front office, led by myself. So I'm looking forward to that challenge as well.
And Dwane, yesterday Killian said something interesting that he said he just wants to hoop this summer and pick up with NBA players. And the AAU culture gets a lot of bad rap, but for a guy that didn't really have that overseas, could that be helpful to him just to kind of learn how to go get a bucket without structure and just, I don't know, I don't want to say
Spread his wings?
Yeah, spread his wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question. And Troy said this as soon as we drafted, and I hope it's not taken the wrong way. He had to get Americanized, you know, and get used to to fight to stay on the court. And you guys played pickup. How hard do you have to play to stay on the court? If not, you waiting for next maybe 3 more games. He's never had to go through that, and that's not a knock on him. You know, that it's just something a young man, 18, 19-year-old, had to go through. He's had, you know, he's played on club teams in Europe. They practice 3 times a day, structured. So hadn't had a chance to go out and spread his wings and do some of the things he can do. He's taught me some things that he can do. I'm a big proponent of not having one-hand passes, but he's proved to me he can do it. And he's got some stuff to his game that he needs to go and play against other NBA players, length, size. They don't give a crap who he is. You know, they're going to knock him on his behind, and he needs to go through that, along with getting in the gym, working on his shooting, in the weight room, working on keeping in great condition. So this is a big summer for him to do that, what you said, and I encourage that 100%, and I'm sure, and Troy does too.
This is for both you and Dwane, but you look at the young guys when they come in. Sadiq, who's one of the 3-and-D guy in college. Isaiah played in the post a lot. And part of their development is coming in and spreading their wings a little bit, figuring out what else they can do. You see Isaiah defending the perimeter guys like James Harden and Luka. You also Sadiq playing inside a little bit more. Kind of how do you find that balance for each guy, just learning what they can do, what they can't do, and just giving them the freedom to expand? Because that was a big theme this season, it seemed like.
Well, I'll start there. I think that's part of when you restore, rebuild, what do you want to call it, that's part of that. And a lot of times when you're experimenting like that, it doesn't equal to winning, because with that there's mistakes the guys have to learn from. Isaiah Stewart has done a great job, not a good job, a great job of defending the perimeter. And if you had to sit here and told me and the staff that last year, we wouldn't have known that. So that's part of it. He showed he could do it. He's one of the top statistically, one of the guys in the league to be able to switch and done a great job. And so a lot of stuff that you saw this year was guys putting the guys in position to see if they could do it. Also, if you notice this year, spacing him to the corners, he and Marvin, which I agree with Troy. Marvin was a fantastic, not a good get, a fantastic get for the organization. And so to be able to space those guys, to see them play on the perimeter was something else that Isaiah showed that he can do. So a lot of things we learned about the players that's going to help us going into the future, what they can do, can't do, and they showed that this year, especially Isaiah.
Troy, you mentioned in the past you have too many young players around that would eat their young type of, you know what I mean? You got 4 guys that play heavy minutes in your rotation first and second year. Presumably you're going to add another top 5 player that you would hope would jump into that. Can you develop players so young first, second, third year guys and make the expected jump? Or do you have to start looking at this and leveraging and seeing, okay, maybe we need to add more veteran proven players, maybe not back in rotation players, but you know what I mean? Are you at that point of your development or that point of your plan yet, or do you feel like it's still one more year, one more draft pick, more young guys?
Well, we'll add another pick this year, but no, I mean, there's a balance. I mean, we still have Kelly on the team, Rodney, Jeremy, and Corey, so we have a balance there where they can continue to grow. But absolutely, we can. My thing is, you can't have a 20-year-old point guard and then his backup be 19 years old. That's tough. So it's got to be a balance. So I mean, we won't have, a team full of 20-year-olds. It needs a balance. But to answer your question, yeah, we can. I mean, if you asking, can we develop one more young guy? Absolutely. I mean, we have room for that, especially if he can play. So, so yeah, absolutely. I've been Coach and I have similar stories on team building. My first year in OKC, we were 23 and 59. After in Seattle, they won 20 games. So, and we were 23 and 59 with Durant and Green and Westbrook on the team, and we drafted Harden. So yeah, there's room to if they can play. There's always room for another one. So.
When you were hired, I remember that first night you said that you wanted to put a team on the floor that the Pistons teams of the past, the great teams, could look at and appreciate and enjoy. As you're in the job and you're going through the tough times, how tough is it to stay disciplined to getting the people right when you can maybe see this guy's really good, might not exactly fit that character profile we want, but he would really help what we need right now. How hard is it to stay disciplined to that plan?
Yeah, you really have to stay true to your core values of trying to build a team, and it's different. Building a team here in Detroit is different than building a team in LA. So, and then when we are making sure we bring people in the building that can help us grow. So, yeah, of course, there's times you want to shortcut the process to get there a little faster, but is that going to be sustainable? So I try to stay principled and making sure we're building a sustainable model. We don't just want to appear, we want to arrive. So it's going to take a little, it's taking a little longer in some people's mind, but not in ours. I mean, I think we're building the right way, and we have a chance this summer to be aggressive in some other areas that we haven't been in the past, and we'll look to do that. But whether it's 28-year-old or 25-year-old, we're going to make sure that it's the right kind of person to help us grow.
Building on that as well, it's kind of the expectation that things are building and next year could be the year or a big transitional year. Is it hard to stay disciplined with that, understanding that maybe fans have an expectation that next year could be the year when things really turn? Maybe in terms of making a big free agent splash and a big draft splash to try to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, the expectations are going to be what they are. But we're going to stay true to our building process. And like I said, I would never put a cap on our team. And in this process, we're going to stay with our core values and get the right people in here. Listen, we have some money this summer, and like anything else, we're going to be aggressive and turn over every rock to improve the team. And you know, I don't want it to be the year. I want it to be, like I said, I want it to be a rival. I want it to be a flashy thing. Like, no Millie Vanilli here. When we get there, we want to stay there. So we want to be built to last. So that's the approach we'll continue to take.
With that free agency, I mean, you've got a lot of guys under team control next year. You've got a lot of pieces in place now. You're going to have, by some projections, the most cap space in the league. I know the draft pick and all that will have some impact on that. But is it more likely that you will take your pool of cap space and look to get one guy as opposed to spreading it out over two or three because of the roster situation?
I mean, we're going to look at everything. Like I said, we're going to be aggressive, turn over every rock, and vet it out and try to come back better as a team, whether that's one guy, two guys, three guys. We're going to be aggressive in our approach and make sure that we come out ready to go and hopefully put a better product on the floor.
From afar, it looked like the last 2 months of the season, even the guys who weren't playing, bigger guys, Amadou, whatever, the bench seemed really engaged, having fun. Is that part of the culture? Because it looked like something changed there too as well, that you guys were really well connected.
Well, one thing, when you have a little success, as we had after the All-Star break, I think the entire team was connected. We were better connected as a coaching staff. Everything was clicking, and when you have that environment, that enthusiasm, you do feel that. I felt that from the players. I felt our film session was way more positive, and winning does that. And that's what what Troy was saying. We're trying to build winning habits and learning how to win, and it is the hardest thing to do for younger players, because younger players are all trying to get the same thing. I'm trying to get mine. I'm trying to get mine. So our whole thrust as a coaching staff was kind of pulling it all together, getting everybody connected. And it's no negative against young guys. That's just what they know. And until you get into NBA, and I think that's what Sadiq and Cade was saying yesterday, they figured out how hard it is, and you can't do it by yourself. You got to do it as a unit, as a team, as an organization. Everybody's got to be on the same page, because everybody wants to rebuild and redo, start over again. And as Troy said, it's not easy, and it doesn't happen with a magic wand. And for anyone to expect it to happen, to go from year to year, it's by steps. And what I respect about Troy and his approach, you can't skip steps. And it's about us working our behinds off this summer, as coaches being better, getting the players better this summer, and seeing where they go. You look at other organizations like Phoenix, they did it slow, step by step. They added a couple of pieces, and then they took off, and they weren't flash in the pan. So it takes time, and I hate to use other organizations, but Toronto, same thing. Our first year we won 23 games. And every year we got better, but it was through the summer, it was through the fall, it was through the year, it was through the summer, and you continue to grow like that, and you add pieces as you go, and then you have an established foundation that you can draw from.
This kind of goes off of that, and also the core values and sticking to that. But yesterday, Marvin Bagley said he came to Detroit to a losing situation, and he kept an open mind, but when he got here, he had fun with basketball again. And it was a very healthy locker room. Looking over them as the coach, what does that say about the makeup of this group of guys here?
Well, I'm gonna brag on Troy. He's sitting here. He told me early on, I don't know if it's tampering or what, but he had an eye on Marvin Bagley early on, and he saw it. I started watching film on Bagley from afar. We weren't tampering with it. I didn't know Marvin, wouldn't know him, had never met him. But when Troy had an eye on, when he got here, he was better than advertised, because he gave us some vertical spacing that our guards needed. Athletic, he can score, he can defend. He's one of the best charge takers on our team. So I told Marvin as soon as he got here, you got a clean slate. You starting over. You were drafted second for a reason. enjoy it, have fun, and he did. The young man came here with an open mind. He gave the coaching staff the benefit of the doubt. He listened. He's coachable. He's everything Troy said he was, and sky's the limit for him. He's what, 23? So he's young too. So he fits the timeline of our other young players, which goes back to what you said, Vince. It's not all good, but he's an excellent talent. He goes right in the fit of the other talented young players we have, and now gives him a chance to grow and be coached with the other players.
You guys are talking about the team feeling a little more connected. Troy, last summer, you described Cade Cunningham after you drafted him as a human connector. And I'm curious, listening to some of the players yesterday and the last few weeks, talking about his voice being kind of the voice. This for both of y'all, did it exceed what you thought his leadership kind of capabilities were, his way in relating with guys? And then does that give you more flexibility in terms of the veteran, young guy balance because he's sort of ahead of his years in that way?
Well, a couple of things. You said being a connector, then you said leadership. Those are two things we talked about on draft night. Said we needed a leader. And for him to come indoors 19 years old, have a voice, and have his leadership qualities displayed this year, tremendous. He's a connector because of his leadership. So he came and displayed that, early on. Most of the time, young guys coming through the door, they want to stick their toe in. He jumped in. He was ready to go with his leadership and connecting the group. So he didn't let his struggles early on dictate how he still responded with the group. And then as things got better, you started to see not only his growth, but the growth of the team because of those two special qualities he has, his leadership and his connectability.
Do you view him as a full-time point guard? He played a lot on the ball this year. Do you feel like he's better deployed if you play him at different spots if you have another ball handler on the floor with him, or do you view him strictly as a lead guard dictating the offense?
Well, Cade is a guy, he's a connector with the ball in his hand. And if you notice in crunch time, he had the ball in his hand. And one thing I told him, he's got to cut down on his turnovers, and make sure and that's part of learning. And it's no knock on him, it's on all young players. They think they can make that pass, but that passing lane closes up quick. He's learning that as we go. But all the other skills, seeing the floor, understanding every position on the floor, as Troy said, he knows. He can tell you what Isaiah Stewart should be doing in the post. He can tell you what Jeremy Grant should be doing on the wing. He's that connector, and that's his IQ. But one thing he has to get better with the ball in his hands versus double teams and all those. But that's no knock. That's part of his growth process and getting him to the next level. But he is better with the ball in his hands. But there's things to learn with that, as far as he as a young man is concerned.
Troy, I'm sure you've seen who the prospects are at the top of that chart. Do you see a significant drop-off from 3 and 4? You could go as low as 7. And are you in a position now where you don't necessarily have to be beholden to a particular position? You can take a player that maybe doesn't quite fit positionally as opposed to athletically?
No, I don't see a drop off. I mean, I like the draft. It was like the last year, I like it this year. No, I mean, we're gonna vet them all out. I mean, this is for another day, but we'll vet them all out and we'll go through the process like we did last year. So, no, we just, the whole key to the draft is adding a good player. I don't care what position he plays. So we just want to add a good player. We don't care where we pick him at. So, but no, I'm excited about the top half of the draft, but I don't see the drop that others may see.
You think it's just as many elite players at the top as there were last year?
Yes.
Troy, you mentioned that Kate came in and didn't really like dip his toe in when it comes to the leadership. Just from your guys' vantage point, were guys receptive to that, him being the #1 pick, him actually being a leader and vocal? Did it take a while for guys to kind of, not fall in line, but accept that this could be the face of the team going forward and the most vocal one going forward too?
Yeah, I mean, when you're absent of something and it shows up, I mean, you like it. I mean, our leadership is kind of different. You know, veteran guys are kind of, quieter guys. Some of our younger guys are workmanlike. Cade has a voice. And so it was a welcome voice because we didn't really have a vocal guy, a rah-rah type of guy. So when he came in, it was like, okay, this fits the group. This is something we needed. But we have guys that who are very authentic, and Cade was authentic, and they received it well because he was being himself.
There's obviously a lot of pressure when you have the #1 pick, and especially in the draft last year where people were saying that there were 3 or 4 guys who could be franchise guys. When Kate had the injury and everybody knew it would set him back a little bit and then struggled early, was there a moment when he started to turn the corner and you could take a sigh of relief and said, okay, we got that right?
Well, no. For me, the draft is like coaching. I coach college. It's like recruiting. We are recruiting, drafting the same guys. It's what you do when you get them. And I'm pretty sure Cade will make all rookie. Previous year, coach had 2 guys. We had 2 guys on all rookie. So the coaching staff, led by coach, and the environment here has fostered these guys into being successful early on. I would, not to take any credit away from these young men, Cade and Sadiq and Isaiah, but you have to have an environment that whoever comes in can grow and develop. And coach has done that with his group. So no, when Cade, struggled early, and then when he came on, nobody took a victory lap. Like, we got it right. We do our work, and we're hopeful that the young men will come in here and put in the work and see the fruits of his labor. And Cade started to see that when he got his feet under him, just like the guys did the year before. But it's an environment fostered by the coaches and support staff that hopefully, just like this draft, whoever we choose and interject in the group can grow and find their footing and have success as well.
Sure, earlier you mentioned that you're still learning parts of this job, just as year 2 as a GM. Of course, there's been success, as you mentioned, 2 all-rookie players last year. Cade will certainly be one this year. Is there anything that surprised you about building a team, or something that you didn't expect coming in that you've had to learn over the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, sleeping at night. Sleeping at night, your mind is always racing because you're constantly trying to help where you can help. And sometimes, I want to speak to coaches, it helps feeling. You can't control it all, but you gotta try to control what you can. And when you're going through it, it's not easy, but I've been here before, and that gives me comfort and confidence. I've been here twice with Utah and OKC, so I'm very comfortable here. I'm very confident here, but like anything else, that doesn't make it easy. But I'm excited about the challenge. But yeah, I mean, There's some sleepless nights.
And then Jeremy, this is the first big free agency splash, and he's come in, he's in expectations. But this year was different for him, just, with the injury and then trade rumors and everything. But just, how did you see him handle it, and then for him to be able to come back and then find that synergy with Cade and Sadiq as well? They're one of the best three-man units down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it was rough early on, and then he had the injury. Then he came back. Coach and I talked with him about playing a more efficient game, and he did it. To his credit, he really started to play more efficiently, choose his spots, and the media, not Rod. Rod didn't say those three guys couldn't play together, but they found their way. Coach had the group, sharing the ball and looking for each other. But I was extremely impressed and proud of the way Jeremy bounced back after the injury and after All-Star break, in the way he was able to find his way back with the group.
Troy, Dwane had mentioned you don't skip steps in this process, and you're not looking to skip steps. But when you have a lot of free agency, cap space, money, is that a possible accelerator, a possible skip stepper avenue?
No, we don't see that as us being able to add, like I said, the free agency doesn't mean you're skipping steps. You want to add to your group, you can add through draft, you can add through trade, and you can add through free agency. So whoever we add could be another young player that would only enhance the group. So we wouldn't see adding a player or two as skipping steps. We'll see it as enhancing the group.
Troy, what's the biggest need of this team going forward, do you think?
Continue to add talent. Let's face it, like Coach and I want the same thing. We want guys that play hard, play tough, dive on balls, but guess what? They gotta be talented. They gotta be talented. So we want to continue to add talent to the group in every shape, form, and fashion. But no, we need to improve our offense. Our defense really found its way second half of the year. Coach is a defensive guy. Keep trying to remind him. But he's right. We need to score, and we will add. We need to add scoring.
Is that like 3-point shot?
I don't care how it goes in 3, 2, 1. We need some more scoring.
Well, and Troy made a good point. We talked about this before the season. He wanted to establish the defense first, which totally makes sense with a young team. That's what you want to do. And for me, and I told Troy the story, years ago, I fought the three-point shooting. Well, we got to shoot more threes, got to shoot. No, I want to make more threes. But they would convince me the more you shoot. But again, you've got to maintain the scoreboard. And like Troy said, whether it's twos, threes, the hard, old-fashioned way, but we got to increase it because the league scoring, if you look at the history over the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, is skyrocketing. And defensively, I thought we took a huge step this year, and guys committed to the defensive end. But like Troy said, we got to, and again, some of it's going to come internally with our players improving. That's one thing I told all the coaches, all the players, guys got to get shots up and work as well as playing and working on the defensive aspects and playing basketball, but they've got to work on their shooting, whether it's free throws or three-point shooting, to keep the scoreboard moving.
But traditionally, free agency kind of leads to overpay, especially when you're in a mid-market situation. You've been pretty active in the trade market since you've been here. Do you feel like the trade market will be a better avenue for improvement, considering you'll have guys on existing contracts as opposed to going to free agency and bidding against, other teams or having to pay more than you want to?
Yeah, I like trades. free agency can be a little tricky. But I feel good about our process either way. So, you know, people thought Jeremy was overpaid except for Rod. But and that, you know, now that's a really valued contract. So you got to know the players and know their value and what they add to your team. So, no, we like trades for sure because free agency can be a little tricky, but we'll be aggressive in both.
Dwane, what's the plan for the summer as far as having guys here versus fanning your coaches out across? Do you expect this place to be busy this summer?
Well, the great thing about Detroit in the summertime is it's a beautiful city. Guys want to be here. A lot of our players are going to stay here in town, so the gym is going to be open. There's no cost to coming in. They can come in anytime, day or night, put their finger on the. So they'll be here. They'll be in, be here a lot. Some of them will be in and out, but we hope to have an excellent participation in the volunteer work this summer, and that's what is exciting about it. We have young guys who like Detroit. The city is vibrant downtown and can have a lot of fun. They tell me so. But between 9 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon, they should be here working and getting in the weight room and that type of. So this summer will be big for us, and then we have summer league coming up, and then again August of work also.
Coach, to piggyback on what Keith just asked you about the summer, I saw the comments from Sadiq. He was open about the fact you guys are open with or on him to like try to actually get a life and don't be here all the time.
Right.
Cade saying that this is a time for vacation, but he said he ain't trying to spend any money this offseason. He gonna be in that gym working on his game. He can go do all that later on. How much does that kind of attitude help you get these guys better?
Huge. It was great to hear that from all the players yesterday. And with Sadiq, he's one that hasn't had a break. He's one of those guys. He reminds me of Nowitzki. We used to put the lock on the gym to keep him out of the gym. Where Sadiq is one of those guys who will come back in at night, walk through the locker room. Other night, he's sitting in the locker room at 11 o'clock at night watching basketball on the television in the locker room. He's a basketball junkie. And to his detriment, sometimes you can overwork. Don't tell any other guys I said that, but with him, he needs to take a breath, get away, decompress, let his body recoup, because from the USA basketball last summer, which was kind of a funky summer last summer, he came straight into training camp, didn't take any time off, worked on, so he needs to get away from it a little while and then come back. So that was what we talked about, and I thought it was a great idea. He talked to the medical people about it. So, but it's a credit to him, and also it's a curse because he is such a basketball junkie, and he works so hard at his craft.
When having even one or two assistant coaches turnover in a year is difficult, but to have your staff turnover, how much of a benefit was that to have kind of new faces and new voices to work directly with the players?
It was good. I mean, again, when I first got here, we were a playoff team. I mean, we were expected to be in the playoffs, and we did. So we had more of a veteran, schematic, game preparation type coaching staff, whereas it changed once we went young. So we had to get more player development type, along with the schematic with Rex and Jim and Jerome, but more developmental coaches. And those guys did a heck of a job this year working with players individually last summer, and it's going to be a big summer for them this year. But it was huge. It was a huge move with our coaching staff to get guys that were connected and work with players, develop players, can share stories about things they did with players and developing.
Troy,
And so, which was great, which was good for us.
sorry, Troy, you mentioned Jeremy's contract and obviously his extension for this summer. What, based on what you heard at the trade deadline, but I mean, you talked about yesterday wanting it to go well. How do you hope it goes this summer? And based on what you heard at the trade deadline, how much interest do you think you'll hear between now and then around the
Not sure. Jeremy demonstrated his efficiency in the way he fit with the group. So I'm curious. I'm not really sure the deadline. People were, had their feelers out, but nothing that really blew us away. Maybe something comes down the pipe, but we'll see. But I don't anticipate it being an avalanche. But I'm sure teams, after the playoffs, some teams will feel like, okay, maybe, we can add a player or two, and maybe the phone rings a little more. Not sure, but the landscape of the NBA changes weekly, so we'll see.
You mentioned the landscape changing. The East has gotten drastically better this year. The play-in starts tonight. Every team is at least 4 games over 500. Does that change your timeline as far as how aggressive you want to be, because you want to be able to at least compete at that spot where you're in these games to get into the playoffs? I would assume this time next year.
Yeah, like I said, I was in the West my whole career until I got here, and the West was a monster when I was there. So, it doesn't really change anything other than continue to build a team. If you build it the right way and you keep getting good players, then you'll be where you need to be. But the East growing and becoming better and kind of shifting of power doesn't really change how we're looking at things, other than you gotta buckle up, because it's pretty tough over here.
Troy, your experience, this team has gone from 20 wins to 20 wins to 23 wins, and you've got to be in that stretch for a while. How hard and how quickly can you make the next leap up to 42 wins, which would be a playoff possibility? Is that a much bigger leap, or can it happen suddenly, do you think?
I've seen it happen. I've been a part of it happening. It just depends on the group, how we come back, what we add to the team, how these guys continue to grow. Like I said, I don't want to put a cap on where we're going. But no, we expect the group to continue to improve, and it's my job to get some players in here that can help move the needle, and that's what we'll do. So looking forward to that challenge of coming back better.
Troy, we've heard Dwane talk a lot about Killian here this spring. Did you feel like he turned a corner towards the end of the year, and if so, in what way?
I feel like he starting to get his American confidence more than anything. Young players, it's all about their confidence. I think he struggled early on because of his confidence, lack thereof. But now, as he continues to get his confidence, you can see more of his game. And as he continues to grow his confidence, we'll see more of his game. It's well documented he needs to continue to work on his shooting, but as his confidence grows, everything else will. So that's what I've seen grow, is his confidence.
Dwane, how's the season been for you? I think last year around this time you said you felt reinvigorated, but especially after All-Star break, to see everything begin to come together. Rebuilds could go either way for factors outside of your control, but to see the payoff, just how is this for you? How's it been? I'm optimistic.
It is reinvigorating, because the fact you see guys grow. I mean, I told the guys yesterday how proud I was, because, I think someone asked, the enthusiasm, playing with passion, the guys maintained it. And they had every reason, when we went through that tough stretch before the All-Star break, to pack it in. But everybody stayed committed, stayed in the moment, continued to work every day, come to work, excited about someone mentioned Marvin Bagley. He told me yesterday it was the first time in a long time he enjoyed coming to the gym for practice, for shoot around, for the game. And to hear that really excited me, and it said, okay, the staff, we're doing something right. And the organization, the culture that, you know, we're putting together, we're doing something right. When a young man comes in and says that, excited about going to work for the first time in a long time, and it makes you feel good. And so it gets you ready to go into the summer, because this summer, as everyone's saying, is a big summer for us. It's our continuation of the season after the guys get a little rest, get away from it a little bit. So that's what I'm telling our coaching staff. We should be excited and be proud of everything they've done, the work they've put in from top to bottom to go into the year. So it's exciting for me because I can see, you know, the direction the guys are going.
And then Troy, you talked about building an environment where players can thrive. We talked about Marvin a lot. We see him come in and he plays one of his best stretches of basketball in his career. He's being utilized in the road and plays the stress more. Yesterday, he just talked about how he felt comfortable here. He gets out in front again. That's sort of a testament to just the structure of the Pistons of it. They just provide players earlier. He did to come in. And, I don't even know if he played 20 games with the Pistons, but they were impactful 20 games.
Yeah, just what Coach said, the environment, the culture we're trying to fight for every day. I mean, not only Marvin, we just talked about killing his group. We talked about how Cade got his feet under him as the season went on. Like, we talked about Sadiq. People forget, I mean, Sadiq struggled early, you know, and to see the way he came on. So when you see that, you feel good about your environment and what the coaches are doing with these young men every day. And that's why we fight so hard to protect it. And these guys were tailing off, you know, be some concern. But to a man, these guys have grown as the season's gone on. And that's what makes you feel good about the environment and the culture here.
And then 2 years ago, after Isaiah Stewart was drafted, you said two things about him seeing more now. One, he had good feet, and then two, he could shoot it a little bit. He hit, I think, 11 of 18 threes in the last 8 games. And we talked about him being able to switch. But even with Westbrook, he wasn't necessarily a point guard type prospect. A lot of people saw that he became a point guard. You know how you find that balance between drafting a guy based on what they did in college, but being able to just see that the outlines of what they can become and trusting that they can get there.
A good scout does his work early. So you got to make sure you turn over every rock when you're evaluating the player. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be in gyms and see situations that led me to believe that Isaiah could move his feet and he could shoot the ball a little bit. Same with some of the other players. So, you know, we try to make sure we turn over every rock when we're evaluating players. And in Isaiah's case, he's proven his right on being able to move his feet and shoot the ball a little bit. So, feel good about that.
All right, guys.
Thank you, John.
All right, have a good summer. Have a good summer. All right. Rod, enjoy the fishing.
Baseball.
That's right, baseball. See you. Okay, John, thank you so much. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.